In today's note, we're going to be looking at graphing a line again, but this time we're looking at graphing a line from an equation. Just as a review, we're going to look at graphing a line from either a slope and a point or 2 points. So again, for example A, if we're given a slope of 3 over 4 and a point, we want to be able to graph this line. So the first thing we want to do is plot our point that's given to us. In this case, -4, -4. So I'm going to go over to -4, down to -4. And now I want to use my slope to help me find other points. So in this case, my slope, if we remember, is rise over run, which is 3 over 4. So what that means is that if I go from my point here, -4, -4, if I go over 4 in the positive direction and then up 3, I go to my next point. So I'm going over 4, up 3, and that's my next point. And again, from here, from this new point, I can go over 4 again, up 3, to get my next point. And I'm going to continue that pattern, over 4, up 3. Now I can't go any further in my graph in this direction, but if I go back to my original point, I can go in the other direction by reversing. So I'm going to go down 3 and to the left 4. And there's another point. And what we should see is when I connect all these points, they form a straight line. Now, if I want to graph given 2 points, I'm going to start off by plotting my points again. So 1 and 1 is 1 point, and -1, -6 is another. Now there's 2 things I can do here. I can find my slope by doing rise over run, or I can use my equation y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Either way would work. So I'll do it algebraically first. So y2, if we go back up to our points, we have x2, y2, x1, y1. So x2 is -6 minus 1. Then we have -1 minus 1. So we're left with -7 over -2. So that means our rise over run, or our slope, is -7 over -2, or 7 over 2. If we look at our point, we could figure this out as well. We can see our slope, our run is 2, and our rise is 7. So now that I know what my slope is, I want to graph other points. So I can go over 2 again from my top point, up 7, to get to my next point. I can't go any further in either direction, so I'm just going to connect my lines, or my points, and there's my line. Now, if you wanted to, if you're given a question where it's just asking you to graph a line, as long as you use a ruler and draw a straight, clean line, you can just draw your 2 points, and it should go through and connect the rest of them. So what we're looking at today is graphing given the equation y equals mx plus b. So just to remember, this is our equation of a line, y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope, or rise over run, or change in y over change in x, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Our b is our y-intercept, also known as a point as 0 and then whatever the b value is. Again, because it's crossing the y-axis. So if we want to graph an equation, or a line given an equation, what we have to do is use the y-intercept and the slope from our equation. So again, that's why it's important to be able to pick out the different pieces from our equation of a line. Step 1, we want to plot our y-intercept. Step 2, similar to the last one, we want to use the slope to determine other points on the line. And step 3, we want to connect those points. So let's look at example A. Here I have y equals 3 over 2x minus 4. So I need two pieces of information out of this, the m value and my b value, or my slope and my y-intercept. My slope is 3 over 2. It's the number that's with the x, or you can think of it as the multiplier. And b is the leftover number, or the constant on its own, so negative 4. So now that I have a point and my slope, I can graph my line. I need to plot my y-intercept, which is negative 4, so that means it's going to be on the y-axis or this vertical line. And so I'm going to go down to negative 4, and there's my point. Now I'm going to use my slope, or again, rise over run, and I'm going to use that to help me find other points. So my run is positive 2, so I'm going to go positive 2 to the right, and then I'm going to go up 3, and that's going to lead me to my new point. Because I want to find more points to help me graph it, I'm going to continue that pattern over 2, up 3, over 2, up 3, over 2, up 3. Just draw it a little neater. And that helps me find more points on my line. Now I can't go any further to the right, but let's go backwards, where I'm going to reverse everything. I'm going to go down 3, to the left 2, down 3, to the left 2, and plot to my points. Now I'm just going to connect all these points, and I should get a straight line, which I do. If I'm using a ruler, I'm making sure that it's nice and straight and it's a neat line. And there's your line. For example B, same idea. I want to find my slope and my y-intercept. My slope, or m value, or multiplier, is negative 2. It's the one that's being multiplied by the x. And then b, or my y-intercept, is the leftover value, or the constant, which is 3. Now, we may be asking ourselves, well, what is my rise over run now for my slope? I only have one number, but I need a rise over run to help me go over and up. Well, any whole number, like we see here, as a fraction is always over 1. So anytime you see a whole number, you can make it a fraction by putting it over 1. Now, what we can do is we can plot our y-intercept, which is 3, and use our rise over run, which means we go to the right 1 and down 2 to plot our next point. From there, we can continue that pattern to the right 1, down 2, to the right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, and so on. Went a little bit too far with the first one. The nice thing about the staircase is that it does help you kind of visualize and see where your lines should go, and if the lines seem a little bit off or a little bit too long, then you may have drawn it incorrectly. Now I can't go any further to the right, so let's go backwards. So now I'm going to go up 2 to the left 1, up 2 to the left 1, up 2 to the left 1, and go in and put my points in. Now that I can't fill any more out, I'm going to connect them all with a straight line. Make sure when you do this you use a ruler and draw a clean line. So that's how you find or draw a line for an equation of a line. You have to make sure that you can recognize what the slope and the y-intercept is, then plot your y-intercept and use your slope or rise over run to help you find the rest of the points, and then you just connect them.